What is going on, everybody? My name is Nick from MWK Pop, and I want to welcome you back for another album review. This time I'm taking a look at the solo debut from 15 And's Baek Yerin and the album titled Frank. And this is an album, of course, that I really like. I don't really have too much specifically to say about it. I'm not going to particularly pick out any specific songs. We're just going to talk about this in general, and I'm pretty sure that means that this is going to end up being a really short review as compared to the rest of them. So, like I said, we're going to do an overview of the entire album, not specifically touching or talking about any songs in specific. And then, of course, as every other review that we're going to do from here on out, I'm going to give you my final review or my final rating of this album. So let's basically get straight into it, and with saying that the reason why I'm not going to just talk about any specific songs is that every single song on this album for me is good in a way that I cannot really explain. It's got like that little thing with a thing that I really like about it that I cannot, particularly, pinpoint or even really like explain, because it's really just difficult to, come up with a reason. And for me personally, that makes this album really fantastic, just because it's good in a way that I cannot even, comprehend or even say. Just inherently means that I really like this album. And, solo albums for me generally are, hit or miss as far as like what they are, because they generally go with, the ballad sort of sound, generally speaking, because they're breaking away from the pop group that they're a part of and then going off and doing something that's definitely more vocally centered and more of a ballad. And ballads aren't really the things that get me hooked too much, but this one does. Similar to Taeyeon and her album, or her I album, right? That, she, went solo from Girls' Generation, left behind that pop image that Girls' Generation has. She did her own thing. It was fantastic. Yerin leaves 15 And to do a solo album. I'm not particularly familiar with what 15 And does as far as their sound and genre of music, but the solo album here is a way for her to focus and demonstrate her abilities as a whether it's a K-pop performer or a singer or whatever it is, her abilities to just be a K-pop artist on her own, do it solo. And this album definitely does that, and it's really fantastic. For me personally, I'd much rather hear members of K-pop groups on their own individually as opposed to as a part of the group as a whole. The group dynamic in K-pop is fantastic, but listening to an individual of that group on their own, I think, is definitely really great, and a much better way to judge them as a singer, dancer, whatever it is you want to judge them on. Their solo release is where you should do that. So just because I can't specifically pinpoint something that I like, and there's a lot of big, just general reasons why I like this album, because it's the intangibles about the songs in general, the fact that it's a solo album for her, and, it's taking her out of the group to show us what she can do on her own. The one thing specifically that I can point out, though, that I kind of like about this album in general is the fact that it's just a peaceful and relaxing album. And I know that's not really terribly specific, but every single album is really low key, low tempo, just in general really nice to listen to. And I think that really kind of comes from the folk music or the folk influence that's been taken into this album, into many of the songs. And it's just a really relaxing sort of album. Lots of acoustic instruments, and you don't have any like high soaring vocals. It's all really low. It's just in general really nice. This is an album I see myself like just sitting down and listening to it, to just, I don't even know, just to take my mind off of things, just to let it take up, just to listen to it, because I need something to relax to. It's really awesome. Also, just to point out, or just a thing to say too, the fact that this album is named Frank, I like that. I think it's kind of cute. you know, I was as I was listening to this album, you know, over Sunday and Monday, I was just like, you know what, I've been listening to Frank all day. And just that little phrase right there, the fact that I can say I've been listening to Frank all day, is crazy. It's kind of cute. I don't like it. I never would have thought, I never really particularly expected that I'd say that something was cute, but here it is. The title of this album from her is Cute. So that's basically all that I'm able to say about this album. So what is my overall rating for this album? And I'm gonna have to say that this one is a between worth buying, or that you should check this one out on iTunes. It's somewhere in between those two rankings, which is high and medium as far as, you know, like where you would rank those. And that's because for me personally, this entire album is really, really fantastic. But on the other hand, just the general style and feel of it might not appeal to like the general audience as, you know, K-pop fans. It might not specifically be something that you enjoy, but there probably is at least one song on here that you think is, you know, worth paying some money for. It's probably going to be the promotion song, the one that comes with the music video, but for that reason, I'm, you know, was really, really torn, and I had to, you know, debate very seriously on whether I should rate this one highest or middle as far as, you know, what my general rating is. So I'm just going to say we're going to put it in between the two, somewhere at like, say, a 3 and or a 2.5, right? It's a 2.5 out of 3, by the way. So, you know, there you go. I think this album is worth buying. When I have the money, I definitely will purchase it, you know, but I would definitely, before you spend your money on it, suggest that you go and listen to it, find the songs that you like. If you like every single one or most of them in one way or another, then buy the entire thing. If you like a couple, you don't like another if you like a couple but you don't like some others, then buy the ones that you like. You know, support good music. Don't support music you don't particularly like. You know, that's just my opinion. So there you go. My album review, my rating for that. If you've listened to this album, which you probably have already, if you haven't, you should. Let me know what your thoughts on this are down in the comments below. Follow me on social media. I got Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and a bunch more. Got links to all of my profiles in the description box below. So give me a follow. That would be super appreciated. And do not hesitate to share this video to get other people to watch it. I would really, really appreciate it if you would do that as well. So that is going to be it for this video. As always, I'm going to thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye. Thought from any album in general, especially not from a K-pop album, or just let alone any sort of pop music in general. It hasn't made me think that deeply about, you know, the music or the lyrics at all. And for this album to have done that is, for me, quite an achievement. And talking about this album, parts